You just tuned into the baddest podcast in the universe. If you don't know, now you know.
Yeah, all I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there, and they say yeah, and they stay there. Cause all I do is win, win, win. And if you going in, put your hands in the air, make them stay there.
Ludacris going in on the verse, cause I never been defeated and I won't stop now.
Well, he's here. My man, Rashad Richey. What's the deal, man?
What up, brother?
Hold on, excuse me. Dr. Rashad Richey.
Now, you know that don't mean nothing to me.
I know it don't. But listen, man, when I met you, you was doing this stuff with the Democratic Party. You was doing amazing things with that.
Yeah.
You was low-key, but very articulate, knew what you wanted to do. If anyone came to you, you could help them and guide them.
Yes.
What I didn't know how young you was. My man, you was like 25 years old.
Yeah,
Amongst all
around
these
that.
older people like John Lewis and all of these just different people, man. How did you learn to move a room and help people in need at that age?
It starts back from your why, okay? So if you can define your why, you start to connect in a way that seems profound, but it's very simple. My why was very clear, that what God had done for me at an early age, taking me from the streets, taking me from adoption homes, taking me from being a nomad, all right? Taking me from gang life. If God could do that for me, and I can witness what happened with me, that means that there's that potential in everybody else. And so my job is trying to connect the dots. And I saw policy as a way to do that. Now, my mom, one of my mothers who adopted me, is a school teacher. And I saw how she struggled to try to get money just to have enough in-class utensils, like things like pencils and paper and like, wait a minute.
Just to teach a class.
Just to teach a class, right? And so she's struggling to make sure that the class can have what it needs while the system itself does very little, if not really, nothing,
right,
to support that. And I realized that policy was behind it. So you transform policy, guess what? You transform outcomes. I'm here because of a policy. So when I was 17, I get caught up doing something stupid. I'm facing 22 years in prison. I've been in juvenile detention many times before. And so as I'm in the back of the police cruiser, the DeKalb County cop is going in the wrong direction. I said, brother, Panthersville juvenile is to the left. You took the wrong turn. He said, son, you better learn the law if you're gonna break it. Oh. And he informed me of this thing called being an adult at 17, the new law in Georgia. You're only an adult in one context, that is for the criminal justice system. So I went to real jail. And I remember, man, I felt like my soul had jumped out of my heart, right? I didn't understand how a system could penalize me as an adult, and I had just turned 17.
You just turned 17.
It was a policy. But then there was another policy. The district attorney in DeKalb County at that time was J. Tom Morgan. J. Tom Morgan, white male, but he was progressive in this sense. He did not like the state law, thought it was adversarial to youth, and said, anybody who's 17 that comes to this county will get a first offender status, and they will get an opportunity at life. And so I had a dope-ass public defender named Gail Bacon. Her name is Gail Bacon Murray today. She got married. She still works for that office.
Wow.
She advocated for me. We took advantage of that policy. I was able to be felony free today because I took advantage of a policy that gave me 5 years probation, mandated GED or high school completion, and I had to get a job or get into college. Well, you know what I did? I took my GED. I was too far behind in high school. Took my GED, took my SATs, got into college, and now I'm a law school graduate. I'm a physics professor, and I'm felony free. But if I would have done the crime 10 miles to the east, I would have been in Fulton County, and no opportunity at first offender would have been given to me.
Wow, that's deep. You know, I knew you before what you're doing today.
Yeah.
And I knew a little bit of your story. Back when they gave you a lot of challenges.
Yeah.
And you was doing great work with the Democratic Party. I mean, you was young and you was doing great work. As a matter of fact, I didn't know you was that young.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were around my age. I'm 56.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you are dealing with all of that stuff, you resigned because it was just a lot of whatever going on. I don't know if you remember this. I called you and I said, yo, bro, don't worry about it. They wrong what they doing.
Right.
You said, yeah, I know, but it's going to be a better day. And I said, yeah, it's going to be a better day. It just means you're going to go somewhere. So when that happened to you, did that like engage, like, let me become a lawyer now? Let me tell you, all of this stuff?
It happened so organically.
Okay.
And for those who are watching, I want them to get the full scope. So I had never been muffled about my past.
You know?
Right, never. I talked about it. I went to juvenile detention centers, talked about it on various platforms, right? And I'm still the guy who's the political director of the Democratic Party, talking openly about being a former gangster disciple, talking openly about being in the foster care system and some of the challenges that are innate with that system. Mm-hmm. And so these bloggers started blogging, and this was all very political. They started blogging after I won a record number of elections in the state of Georgia. We won about 80 plus elections. And now I have people saying he's the best political strategist in the country. People are citing me in their thank yous, in the press conferences and the rallies.
Right.
And all of a sudden, my name is everywhere. And here come the bloggers, here come the Republicans saying, oh my goodness, Obama appointed a criminal to be head of the Democratic Party. Remember those headlines?
That's when I met you,
right?
The President Obama era. Yep.
And so at this time, I'm the political director, chief strategist for the state Democratic Party. And I remember the chairman of the party called me. And I'm gonna keep it 100.
Keep it 100.
So I literally took a role in the background because, dear brother, I'm in my 20s. I already know what's in my background. I never lied to any of my employers. I never was muffled about my testimony, but I also did not want to be a liability for those that I wanted to advocate for to become elected officials. And so I'm the background strategist, right? You knew this?
Yeah.
And then I get a call from the chairman of the party. He says, are you sitting down? As soon as he said this, I already knew.
Something was up.
Something was up. And he proceeded to tell me, to share with me, well, here's what this blog is saying. Now, keep in mind, he already knows what's true, what's not true, what I've been involved in, what I haven't been involved in.
You were open.
I was open about it. And I remember being very silent because when you're in those positions, you have to be willing to fall on the sword at any time. You got to be willing to fall on the sword for the chairman of the party. You got to be willing to fall on the sword for the president of the United States if required. You have to just resign. And I remember being very quiet because, see, at this time, I believed that I would not get a job better than this. It was paying what I thought was a lot of money.
And it was for
where I was, right? Especially my age and also
where you came from.
Where I came from and my understanding of what money was and how money flowed. It was job security. And the chairman said, Mike Burlon, he said, are you okay?
Remember him. Yeah.
You remember Mike? And I said, I said, I'm okay, Mike. He said, do you think I'm gonna fire you? I said, I don't know, Mike. He says, hell no. He said, you're the best political strategist I've ever seen. He said, no, I'm not going to fire you. So I came to the office the next day. Now I'm the guy in charge, right? So I got to have a meeting with everybody. I continue to work. And Lori Geary from Channel.
But let me pause you there.
Okay.
People at home, when this was going on, he's telling the story, but it was a lot of cameras and news articles and news this and people staking out at the Democratic office.
Headquarters, yeah.
This is what's going on. Continue.
It's a hell of a scene. And so Lori Geary calls me she was a political reporter at Channel 2 at that time. So she calls me, she says, Rashad, we got to do a story. I said, Lori, you literally heard me talk about this
every day.
Right, multiple times.
Right.
She said, I know, but it's getting bigger. And I said, okay. I said, I'll do a press conference. So I did a press conference, and we did it at the Democratic Party headquarters. We allowed every news media to come out. Yep. And I remember that morning, I got there about 6 a.m., and the chairman said, how many elected officials did you ask to come and stand with you? I said, none. He said, what? I said, I couldn't do it. I could not ask them
to put themselves out
put
there.
themselves, right? Guess what started happening at about 7 a.m.? Elected officials started walking in. And I think you remember, over 100 elected officials came from over the whole state. And we had to literally negotiate who would and who would not talk, because everybody wanted to talk on my behalf. That pushed me to the forefront. They literally, like my haters, literally broke the chains. And I had to now exist in the forefront rather than the background. And I'm still here, dear brother. And so that was a pivotal point in my life. I realized not my limitation, I realized that I had none. The only limitation was what I allowed other people to put on me, and I believed.
So the lesson is, don't let people put things on you. Don't believe what the hype.
That's right.
Because that's what it is. It's just hype. It's haters that don't want to see you get to your goal. And we both can talk this very well, because I know you have your degree in divinity. That's God. God is with you the whole time. Even when you was doing wrong, it trained you to kind of shift your mind and be able to talk up and speak up for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be doing things that you shouldn't be doing has also got you here doing things you should be doing, and people still don't want you around.
Yeah.
Because you know how to maneuver. That maneuvering, where did you figure out that's my thing? That is my thing. I know how to maneuver, because that maneuvering is what may foul me up, may foul someone else up. It comes into their life and they're like, damn, I was mad when they did that to you. And you were so cool and smooth on the phone. Like, how did you get that? How did you get the maneuver?
I realized they were doing it for me. You see, nothing happens to you. Everything happens for you. And to learn that is a process. And I was learning that in that moment. When I did finally step away from the party, now remember, at that time, everybody said, he's good, he's golden, he's going nowhere. We already knew he was honest on his application. There were no issues with the party. You all may have an issue. We have no issue with him here. But then Congressman Hank Johnson reached out. Congressman Hank Johnson said, listen, any issues come up, just know you have a place with me. And then I got all these other calls, right? So I had this security that most folks didn't know about, because I wasn't sharing. I got all these job offers now, right? And it was based on talent, but that talent was based on my willingness to engage, to care, to give a damn about my job, and to execute. Now, here's the other part of that, dear brother. I realized in the journey that the only time we really are limited is when we stop being a moving target. See, here's the reason why today I have over 1 million subscribers on YouTube. The reason why today I got 1.4 million on our Facebook watch page. And we have all these platforms.
Radio, so on and so forth.
That's right, radio. Voted best talk radio personality by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution.
SiriusXM Radio.
And SiriusXM Radio, because I'm a moving target. If you simply keep vibrating at the frequency that you have been given capacity to vibrate at, no one will be able to pin you down. You simply have to continue being a moving target. Just do the work. And that's what I do. I serve people, man. That's my why. So I never lose focus of my why. My why is not money. I'm not motivated by money. I make money. I'm not motivated by it.
Well, I know that.
Right.
I feel the vibe of that, you know, that it's not about that.
That's right.
You know, because being in politics and knowing all the right people, you learn things from different aspects of other people's thought.
That's right. And sometimes you got to be willing to challenge folk that you would prefer not to.
Right.
You know, I've learned leadership is not simply about who you're willing to motivate and who you do motivate. It's also about who you're willing to offend when necessary. And I've had to have some tough conversations with elected officials that I love to life. And I would prefer not to have beef with them. But I love mama them just a little more.
That's good. And that's good. I'm glad you said mama You're a father.
Yeah.
Man, you post it, I see it. You know, I'm like, yo, Rashad just never changed. Like, where's this family? I mean, you went through different homes, but where does this family, sense of family come from? Where does this come from for you?
You know, every adopted family that I was grafted into through the process of our system of adoption in Georgia, there were positives and negatives, like any other kind of family, right? And I realized, because early on, man, when I was 18, 19, I still had some gripes about, you know, my mama didn't love me kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and
rightfully so.
Yeah, you know, I was still struggling with those things, and which made me really ultimately just struggle with my identity. But as I understood it from a different perspective,
right?
Because I realize now it's not about what happens to us, it's about how we think about what happens to us. Now that I have a different thought process about what happened, I realized that I'm able to take all of the good experiences, and now instead of having one family to where I can draw good experiences from, God blessed me with 5. I have 5 different adoption experiences, and I can adopt and adapt 5 positive dynamics out of those experiences. And so I allocate that, I relay that to my daughter, who's really, even if she wasn't my daughter, I would say this, she's one of the most remarkable people on the planet. And even with, you know, I'm the president of Rolling Out magazine.
Right,
Even at Rolling Out, man, I see my daughter in a lot of the young folk that work for me. And so naturally, I have to take more of a nurturing posture to make sure that they have the equipment they need in order to be successful in life.
So as you go up this ladder of success in business, and I already know the answer, I believe.
Okay.
Level of business that you're going up, how do you stay and remain who you are? Because what I see for you is the sky's the limit. How do you not change that? How do you not change that?
Man, I have a discipline, man. And when I say I have a discipline, my discipline is pretty simple. I don't see people as separate from me. You are not separate from me. The people in the studio, they're not separate from me, all right? We are reflections of each other. You are my mirror. You are my mirror. You are my mirror. You're my mirror. And as I interact, I'm interacting with my mirror. And as I do to you, I do to me. Even with, you know, people contacted me from the radio station because they need help with something. I made an agreement with the Almighty. I said, Lord, if they figure out how to get in touch with me, my job is to understand that they're supposed to get in touch with me. And I need to help them. That's it. It's real simple. And everybody who's close to me, they know it's real simple for me.
Yeah,
right?
Because I did the same thing.
That's right.
We was talking with Chris. I said, all right, well, let me ask him. Hey, brother,
right.
This is what I'm doing, man. I really need you on
as
this,
soon
bro.
as you made contact with
Yep,
me.
and you said, all right, brother, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
And things happen.
That's right. It's very
that's
simple.
that's the Rashad Richey that I've always known.
But see, it's simple, isn't it? It's not
very
difficult, man.
It's very.
Really what I believe happens is that you kind of get success. People get success, and they're not grounded in an actual discipline about who they are. So if you're still searching for yourself, you're going to start becoming the manifestation of what other people say you should be. You know, people have told me, you can't still be a professor and do this. Well, why can I not? You can't go to law school while finishing a master's in neuroscience. Why can I not? I've done all of this. Why can I not?
And be a lawyer and then do all of those things. That's a lot. When I was reading, I was like, wow, this dude. And I'm like, I'll be honest, I'm making excuses. Because my man got doctorate degrees. My man's like traveling. You was traveling to a school in a car on the weekend, right?
Every single Friday, right after the TV show.
I'm
I would
like,
travel to Birmingham
this dude,
School of Law.
Where does he find the time to get all this?
I'm just an example, brother. That's it. I'm not competition for anybody. I'm proof it can be done.
It can be.
That's it.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Man, there's one thing I gotta ask you.
Okay.
Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
I read up that you was on a team or you kind of figured something out. I mean, I read it, but I want you to tell us about
Yeah.
that experience? Because I think it's amazing.
Man, thank you for that question. Sometimes we forget that the greatest ideas come from a small group of people. Every great idea you could think of came from either one person or a small group of people that said, no, I think we can do it this way. So this was part of my PhD program in quantum physics at Paris Graduate School. And what I'm studying is the effect of quantum material, such as frequency, sound frequencies, vibratory frequency, vibroacoustics, and also photobiomodulation, which is a fancy word for light frequency, okay? And how it impacts human physiology, in particular neurons. And the idea in the beginning of the research was that we were looking at ways to enhance cognition, because we determined through a hypothesis that if you enhance cognition of the human brain, things that seem difficult are no longer difficult. For example, if you have an addiction, that addiction could seem like the worst thing in the world, but for another person, they could drink with no problem. What's the difference? Well, in the hypothesis model, the difference is your frontal cortex. If you've been in an environment where instinctively you have to navigate egos, you have to survive, well, their frontal cortex develops differently. And that instinctive dynamic of your brain for you to survive overdevelops, which tends to have more addictive personality connected to it.
Okay.
And so we said, okay, if we can enhance your neurons, it's still you.
Right.
We can possibly give you opportunities to be analytical, to be critical in your thinking in ways that maybe it felt like there was a barrier. And in that process, brother, there was a call that came to us, and this call was for me to place an Alzheimer's patient inside of our case study model. And initially I said, no, that's not the type of research I'm doing. And there's no cure for Alzheimer's. Like there's no win for me here in the research. Remember, I'm thinking research.
Right.
Because I have to produce a research model.
Right.
And the person said, because what you're doing is basically sound and light, it's not invasive and it's not going to harm the person. Everything you're doing is very safe. And she was getting prepared for an experimental drug. And I said, talking to a few friends that day, I called back and said, okay, we'll take her in. And the first day of treatment where she did her therapy, it's basically affixed to the person. They put on the device and they hear the sound frequencies and the photobiomodulation. She had some amazing results on day one. Long story short, and this is all peer reviewed and published in a scientific research journal. If you want to find it, it's in the International Journal of Science and Research, and you can find it right now. In that process, her Alzheimer's reversed.
Wow.
It was the first time in human history that we could
because
record
they said there's no
cure for it, correct?
Yeah.
So it's seemingly reversed. Let me say it that way for the liability aspect.
Exactly.
And in the research, the medically certified research, the medically certified case study is listed right there in black and white. All of her blood samples that came back from the blood test, including her hyperglycemic index and her cholesterol, everything started to normalize pretty immediate. And her results have been constant. And now we have clinical trials that are starting hopefully next month. The device is patented. I have the provisional patent.
I read that too.
Yep, and we started.
I was like,
trials.
this brother, you're a smart guy. When I say smart, I don't mean it in a negative sense. I'm saying like, dude, you're brilliant, dude.
Look,
I
appreciate.
I already know. I had another brother come out here, Cujo. He was saying some stuff, and I have to say it. I understand that.
Okay.
But this is what it is, and it's respectfully like, yo, I didn't know you knew all of these things. This stuff was dormant inside of you, and you did not. Maybe you didn't know, but for me, I'm like, yo. Like, Rashad is that dude. Like, it ain't no ego or nothing. I'm not trying to bring the ego up. I'm saying, no, if you did not continue to move forward
Right.
after all of the stuff that has happened to you, man, we wouldn't have this.
Well, what if I told you, brother, that everybody's brilliant?
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Let me
but
go.
some people don't act on it.
And let me say this part, okay? So the greatest ideas that I have don't come from me, they come to me. They come to me, okay? I work it out, but it comes to me. And I believe in something, called diversity in neurology, meaning neural diversity, all right? So neural diversity basically means that we are not to be judged intellectually based on a scale called genius. Because I promise you, that scale wasn't built for certain folk. And so my mechanic is a genius. I can't do what my mechanic can do. Okay?
Car mechanic.
Car mechanic, that's right. I can't do I don't care how much money you pay me today. I can't do that, right?
Right.
That's genius.
Okay.
Right? That's neurodiversity, dear brother.
Okay.
So instead of having this very linear approach to what we know as intellect, understand that intellect is multidimensional. And so this linear approach eliminates all these other thinkers that have done remarkable genius. So now the system, because we talk about geniuses, you see all of the old white folk, right? Well, that's because they created a test to test genius. So who? Come on now.
I love it.
Come on, brother.
I love it.
All right?
I love it.
It's
Your
neurodiversity.
approach of, yeah, I get it. I
Yes,
get it.
I want to unravel that system of thinking.
I get it. I get it. Well, my brother, all I can say is thank you. And if you don't know, now you know. Rashad Richey.
Thank you, dear brother.
Thank you so much.
What a pleasure. What
Love
an
you
honor.
much, man.
Love you back.
Yes.